And my title is Korean Suicide Prevention Act 2011. In Korea, already established suicide prevention law is 8 years ago, and its influence on copycat and pesticide suicide in Korea. I'm the head of Korean Psychology Autopsy Center. Is evaluation for complete suicide in Korea. It's a picture in Samsung Medical Center. You know Samsung? Samsung built the large hospital. This hospital, I worked in the middle of the hospital. It's psychiatric unit. It has many depression and suicidal kind of patients admitted here. So it's in Gangnam, you know. So South Korea, the suicide is very important, the social issues, because the rate of suicide is more higher than Taiwan and Japan. East Asian countries, Japan and Korea and Taiwan, is also high, but South Korea is the highest area, and is the second highest in the OECD country, because Lithuania is increased last year in OECD, so Lithuania is first and Korea the second. So I think this year maybe Lithuania may decrease and Korea may be top change it. We worry about it. So international comparisons of suicidal rate in South Korea is very high, but in Soviet Union countries more higher, but among Asian countries, suicidal rate very high. It's peaked in 2011, 31.7. It's amazingly high. But last year it decreased 24.3, marked decrease. The year is 2011 is the suicide prevention law in Korea is established this year. From the year it decreased. So South Korea is rapidly increasing suicidal rate, but it slightly decreased after establishing the law. But unfortunately, in marked decrease in suicidal rate, 2017, suicidal teens and 20 and 13 to 39 years, the most higher rate of cause of death in suicide, 10, 12, 30, the most higher suicide. Cause of death, and traffic accident is just half of suicide, and 40 to 50, the second higher, is a very important issues. So many politicians and government officers have interest on the highest suicidal rate in South Korea. So last month we conducted the suicide prevention conference, suicide prevention conference annual meeting in the whole of National Assembly. So many politicians is invited. So is Korean the main agenda to prevent suicide. So Korean Act on Prevention of Suicide and Creation of Cultures of Respectful Life is full name. Its short name is Korean Suicide Prevention Act 2011. The purpose of this law, the purpose of this act is to protect people's invaluable life and create a culture of respectful life and providing necessary methods for responsibilities and suicide prevention policies on national level. After this law established, three important changes after the action. The first, 2011, Korea Suicide Prevention Center is open. It's a Chinese letter, is this kind of a center. And after 3 years, it's Psychiatry Center. I'm director for 3 years. The suicide completed evaluation. like a Japanese countermeasure department, very similar, Dr. Yutaka. And 2008, finally, our is the main movement is the Ministry of Health and Welfare, the Department of Suicide Prevention Department is opened. And so 1 year ago, many action and the budget is increased. We are just beginning now. So the chapter of law is composed of 6 chapters. The chapter 1 is general provisions. Chapter 2 is establishment. And chapter 3 is measures for prevention of suicide. Chapter 4 is creation of cultures of respect. It's respect of cultures. Respect is important meaning in Korea because in Korean, at the time of making law, I involved in so many religious leaders involved the making law. So respect culture and life saving is very important issues. And 5 supplement provisions, 6 penal provisions. So general provisions is purpose, basic policies, citizens' rights and duties, and responsibilities of central government and local government. It is similar to Japan. The law has in place the law of local government and the collaboration together with local government is making policy to each government make a individualized approach and business owners' responsibilities in relation to other acts. So our center is made by this law, and it has law has 3 kind of works. The psychology autopsy operation team that manages the entire psychology autopsy system of suicide victims. Every year we met the family of more than 200 of suicide victims, family members. And we evaluated their characteristics and make international policies. And suicide survivor support team activated suicide survivors psychological and environmental support. From this year, we make a new team to approach to complete the suicide attempt. At that time, we visit the family just after suicide completion. So they support emotional and economic support for this completed suicide victims or family members, and research and analysis team. So the basic policies of this law is all government organs is taking it together to multilateral preventive measures. So in not only Ministry of Health and Welfare, all government have integrated with this law. And second basic policy is important because the action is knowledge of bioethics and culture of respect for life, of promotion of sound mind and values, and the improvement of social cultural awareness. The aims of law is based on evidence and scientific approach, and social awareness increase is main issue. So the master plan of this law, Article 7, the master plan included the following matters: creation of a cultural respect for life and development, distribution of manual counseling on suicide and measures of prevention suicide of children, juvenile, middle-aged person, and elderly people. 4 and 5 is important. Promotion of mental health through management of depression and drug addiction. This law has focused on the treatment of depression and addiction, especially in Korea's alcohol abuse. Recently, drug abuse is a very important issue associated with suicide, so this law includes this sentence. And establishment of a system to prevent suicide by information and communication media. This media report is regulated by a law. at this time. And control of suicidal methods is eighth item. This law can control and prohibit the suicidal methods by law. After this action, we can do it. First, after the law, we do the first action. We met together. What can we do? The first action in Korea. The first action is control of suicidal method, just after passing the law. You know this kind of pesticide? Yeah, Glamoxone, you know? It used in Taiwan? Yeah. Glamoxone is very cheap, only $2. It can control a whole of Gold Coast, only $2. Very cheap, and if you inhalation of 1 cup of the Glamoxone, you will die. The lung is fibrosis after 1 week. So before 2011, Palakat was the most frequent means of suicide in Korean rural areas, accounting for 35.5% of pesticide-related deaths associated with this kind of pesticide. So it is easy to access in farmers' stores, and it widely used year-round across the country due to broad action of herbicide. So the Palakat, is like not control. is like a wastage. The government of Korea did not approve the license renewal of Paraquat, hence the production of Paraquat was banned 2011 November, and the distribution of Paraquat market was prohibited subsequently in 2012. I presented the Paraquat prohibition in National Assembly at that time, so I many phone calls to Paraquat company. Paraquat company strongly make why we should not sell this kind of effective pesticide. They complain very strongly. But after that time, I called the company. They sell another pesticide very well, but more safer. Paraquat, other than Paraquat, they sell. So after the total prohibition of Paraquat, the Paraquat prohibition period of South Korea, herbicide and fungicide in all age groups in both genders is markedly decreased. But some method substitution was found in CO poisoning, but it did not exceed the reduction of suicidal rate in poisoning of herbicide or fungicide. So suicide by Paraquat is markedly decreased. So, and we have another action to pesticide storage box. This kind of box is supported by life insurance. They donate this box, 8,000 boxes in nationwide Korea. So in Korean rural company, they store the pesticide in refrigerator. They are refrigerator. So they sometimes it's very dangerous. After they are drinking alcohol, they sometimes impulsive act. So they use this kind of storage box, and they included the pesticide inside. So it has also very effective. So impact of Paraquat regulation and suicide in South Korea is markedly decreased after 2011 to this kind of decrease. So pesticide suicide mortality is halved, 5.26 to 2.67, and overall this from 37% of reduction of suicide from pesticide is found. And overall suicide rate at this period, 2 years decreased the half of reduction of suicide due to the stop of Copycat. So after the 2011, Korean suicide rate decreased to 24.3, 7% per 100,000 people. But it's markedly decreased in elderly people, near half. But young age, not so decreased. So another issue is, our next focus is in media. Copycat prohibition is very effective. We are very encouraged. So next time media is more strong than Copycat company. So media are highway. How do we control media? We found the Bell-tail effect. Bell-tail effect is a spike of emulation of suicide after widely publicized suicide is known as Bell-tail effect, following greatest novel of Charles Young Bell-tail. Charles Young Bell-tail. After reading this novel, many European young people died by suicide, like this Bell-tail. So copycat suicide is defined on another suicide. A person attempting suicide knows, either from local knowledge due to the account or depictions of the original suicide on television or other media. So this picture is celebrity suicide. It is endemic of celebrity suicide from 2005-2011. Many Korean celebrity stars die suicide every year. This first is a very famous actress and died. She is, Jin Chul-choi. The Koreans are the most important and very, very famous actress. She acts every dramas, like their sister, like mother, like daughter. Every works, but she died suicide. It's great influence in Korea. And another many famous celebrities. So we analyzed the effect of celebrity suicide on Korean national suicidal rate. Individuals who commit suicide after celebrity suicide are likely to be younger and female and prefer hanging method of suicide, which are more strongly associated in higher effect size and celebrity suicide. You know the Lisu Chang? He's very famous actor. He's also famous in Korea. The movie, in Korea, the many Koreans like him. But she died suicide. In Korea, suicidal rate increased after she died. Korean man and woman increased after she died. And Eunju Lee, she is the start of endemic of Korean massive suicide stars. The first star in Eunju Lee. After she died, a peak of suicide after she died, peak. And after disappeared levels, after 1 year increase. Because Eunju Lee's suicide attempt, their ceremony and their movies repeatedly on TV. TV focused on her last dramas and movies. So maybe it influenced on it. So in Korea, suicidal report recommendation criteria is established after this kind of knowledge. So suicidal reporting outcomes with social responsibility. Incorrect suicidal reports can kill a person. changing the way we commit suicide can save our previous lives. This kind of pictures before the law. One people in Korea how liberates the bridge. It is the famous bridge to attempt suicide. One person is fall down, picture the picture and this broadcasting in TV news. So it's completely prohibited. So instead of using word suicide or word suicide, you use death or hide. Don't report the specific suicidal method, tools, or places of motivation, and use caution when talking photos and videos about suicide, as they may encourage you to immediate suicide. But we control TV or big companies, but small internet media is very difficult to control. But important media are well controlled now. And do not beautify or rationalize suicide, but provide negative consequences and suicide prevention information. This kind of this portals is not in Korea now. When reporting a suicide case, respect the personality of the deceased and the privacy of believed family. Respect. And this standard should be strictly following when reporting celebrity suicide. And celebrity suicide is strictly regulated about this issue. After reporting the died celebrity, the phone number of the celebrity, number of phone of suicide prevention center and counseling center should be included in the report. This graph is the changes of suicide rate in Korea. The first 2011 Suicide Prevention Act is established, and the guideline for suicidal report 3.0 is published, handled. After 2011, the suicide rate decreased, and after the guideline, one more decrease. There is like a stairs. So suicidal rate per month before is the Suicide Prevention Act per month is 1,305.83 person per month, but it decreased 100 and decreased 200. Yeah. So we analyzed what kind of celebrity to influence on the general Korean persons. We analyzed this every celebrities in the broadcasted in main Korean broadcasting companies. The case 13 cases we found 2005-2009 actress, singer, actress, baseball player. But baseball player, no effect on suicide. But actor, actress, very high. Actor and actress. Businessman, reduced. Businessman. And singer, very influence. President, no influence. President. In Korean president, former president also died suicide. But it's not influence on general population. But this businessman is influence on suicide. But it's and next 2010 to 2011, 9 cases. Actor and actress, but this is the same phenomenon, but the impact is decreased before 2009. And after establishing the law, it's 10 cases of businessman, actress, but it's markedly decreased. It changed only 1.22. The number of suicide celebrities is same, but the impact is only 10% before regulation of broadcast. So previous slide I mentioned about Jinshil Choi. I'm very sorrow about her death. A very famous actress. After she died, her brother died suicide. After 3 years, her husband died suicide. It influenced Korean general population great impact because after she died suicide, 26.13% per day increase every day. And after his brother died, 12.110% per day, and after husband, 12.33% per day. We calculate these 3% died suicide. How many person died influenced on 3% death? 1,516% died suicide after influence of maybe this kind of suicide. The celebrity suicide prevention and broadcasting is very important issues because South Korean like drama, very like drama very much, and their influence is great. After she died, Chen, great peaks. I never like this piece. I learned the day. I remember the day. Many suicide attempts admitted in the emergency room of Samsung Medical Center, maybe 10 times more than a usual day. It's a tragedy. So, do more people commit suicide during the celebrity suicide impact period? The female and young female. At 20 to 30 years old, young female influenced on the celebrity suicide. And the method is same with the celebrity. P-value 0.001. Method same. So suicidal victims who died after celebrity suicide were significantly likely to be of age 20 to 39 female and died by hanging. A young woman who died from suicide after following the celebrity. So I think politician or businessman maybe not influence on this kind of people. So among celebrities, young actresses or singers are influential and they increase the suicide of young women. In contrast, politicians, businessmen, and baseball players have no significant impact. So the way of the influence, we conclude that the identification and transfer of feelings. Identification, like a few et al. Their report, his report, suggested that people identify more with the celebrity and their risk for suicide rises. So identify of their movies, their dramas, their in the dramas identities, they have identification and transfer of feelings. So this kind of way of action, it influences on suicide. So vulnerable individuals may regard suicide as an acceptable solution to personal problems based on their interpretation of media broadcast and consequently adopt suicidal behavior. So another issue is the mass suicide. The first died suicide by Eunju Lee, the famous actress. She is the first suicide and great impact on Korea. She died after the movie. After the actress of this movie, she died suicide. The movie is kind of suicide during the movie. One person, she conflicted with her, died suicide, and she is kidnapped and in the car and raped. A very sexual harassment movie. So I think this kind of movie may be influence on her. She said that after this movie she cannot sleep not all, and very depressed mood, but no support, because movie style is very difficult to psychiatric service because their privacy. So recently this kind of very sadist movie. So in Korean government the movie style should be consulted. So my conclusion is South Korea shows the second highest suicide rate among the OECD countries, but it decreased 7% for 6 years. The suicide rate in South Korea slowly decreased 2011-2007, especially elder suicide. The Korean Act on Prevention of Suicide and the Creation of Culture of Respect for Life was established 2011. After power prohibition period in South Korea, there was significant reduction in total suicidal rate and suicide rate by poisoning with herbicide and fungicide in all age groups, and the influence is sustained now. The influence of suicide in Korean national suicide rate decreased after Korean Suicide Prevention Act and the Guideline for Suicidal Report. And Guideline for Suicidal Reports is a very important influence on the media, and they can kill people. Their suicide report is a consensus on the media employee. Thank you.